Bill?
Well, one thing that I'm learning is that there is a lot of difference in opinion among the creationists, because the creationists will take a situation as it exists today. I believe the Pronuba moth and the Yuma plant is one of their favorite illustrations. The two are dependent upon each other in a way that I don't have time to explain. And the creationists will argue, aha, you see, if they had not been created instantaneously, then neither one of them would be here today, because the moth couldn't have waited for the Yuma plant to evolve, and the Yuma plant couldn't have waited for the moth to evolve. You see, they want to play both sides of it. When there is an issue like that that seems to dispute their side of it, about anteaters having to have 250,000 ants today, they say, oh, well, we don't know that that's what they ate back then.
All right. We're going to go till roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of 8:45 here, but this next question is to Mr. Till. I'm going to combine two questions here, as these are very similar. Wouldn't the pitch or the tarry substance used by Noah keep out the water and thereby prevent the problem of warpage, etc., as you described? And to combine that with, what about the width of the boat affecting its ability to keep from warping under pressure?
Well, whoever wrote that has a bigger problem than I have, if you think that poses one for me. Pitch is a petroleum product, and according to the creationists, that didn't develop until we had the catastrophe of the flood that buried all the forest under intense pressure, and then over a process of time, oil reserves and coal and all of that developed, and pitch would be one of them. So it seems to me that when God told Noah to cover the ark with pitch inside and out, that Noah had a big problem, because when he went to the store to get his pitch, he found that there wasn't any, that it didn't exist back then, according to the creationist argument. So that's a problem for you, that's not a problem for me. And I'm going to be honest with you, I do not know whether shipbuilders in the last century tried to use pitch or not, but I suppose that with technology having developed to the extent that it had at that time, that they would certainly be aware that this was a possibility, or perhaps they had even a better product than pitch that they tried to use as a sealant. And still they couldn't prevent the warping, according to all of the research that I'd done.
Your rebuttal?
Well, of course, his assumption is that the pitch had to be from an oil product that was formed after the flood. Oil can be made from a number of things. I mean, corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower seed oil. You can get oil from a number of vegetable sources. So the idea that it had to be an animal derivative. Of course, the Bible doesn't mention about the fish. They weren't, of course, not on the ark. And as far as Noah, that's what fish is frequently used to make oil. Scientists in the laboratory several years ago took a ton of vegetable material and under pressure converted it to a barrel of oil, crude oil, in 20 minutes. I've got documentation on that in my suitcase, wherever it is in the car right now, but that has been done. I don't know where Noah got the pitch. He certainly could have made it himself out of either vegetable or animal derivative, either one. Okay?
All right. Thank you. This next question is directed to Dr. Hoven. Someone has asked, the amount of heat released by 40 days and 40 nights of vapor condensing to rain is enough to have raised the Earth's temperature to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientifically, why did this not occur?
Well, that's based on, of course, a couple of assumptions. I'd like to know where they got that number. It's going to raise the Earth's temperature to 6,000 degrees. The theory that I presented in my opening remarks was the idea of an ice meteor causing this phenomena to happen, which many features of the universe would indicate that there have been giant meteors, even some here on the Earth. I've been to Barringer Crater, big enough to have 20 football games simultaneously at the same time in the bottom. some big rocks have hit this Earth in the past. There's a 47-mile crater in Canada, 47-mile in diameter. So read the question one more time. I'm going to get off track here.
Yes. The amount of heat released by
heat,
40
okay.
days and 40 nights of vapor
Heat
condensing
release.
to rain.
The scenario that I presented of an ice meteor triggering the collapse of the canopy would counteract that with no problem. I couldn't prove it happened that way, and you couldn't prove it didn't happen that way. It's outside, it's untouchable as far as science goes. Many things are, you know, that it's just a faith, just like evolution is untouchable. They, you know, make life in the laboratory. Make some today. If it happened in the past, do it today. That's not observable, that's not science. And yet we're all paying for that to be taught to the kids in the public school. That's not right either. Okay.
I have to make a quick comment on the pitch. Strong and various Hebrew scholars say that that word in Hebrew translated pitch meant bitumen. And bitumen is a petroleum product. Where did, I have no idea who wrote this question, but I'm delighted to know that there's someone in the audience who has been thinking about this. Where did that person get the figure? Well, I don't know where the person got the figure, but I have an article with me, Physical Constraints on the Noachian Deluge. It was published in the Journal of Geological Education in 1983. I have it with me, and you can look at it, and it discusses in detail how that when water vapor condenses into rain, it releases energy. It tells you how much energy would have been released by the condensation of 1 kilogram of water. And it proceeds from there to show how that the temperature of the earth during a rain like that, which is described in the Bible, would have reached 3,500 degrees centigrade, 6,400 degrees Fahrenheit. At that time, the earth would have been the second hottest object in our solar system. Now that's scientific.
All right. The next question is directed to Mr. Till. Scientists have now found plant life growing at the Mount St. Helens site where volcanic ash sits since 10 years ago. Have you a comment on this, since you alluded to the great extent of time required for plant life to develop on volcanic ash?
Now, I believe if whoever said that will check the facts, that they'll see that plant life is growing where there was the mudslide, but where there is a strict bed of lava, that it takes about 200 years for it to decay into a soil that plants can grow in. And you know, you might find a plant growing here and there where maybe wind erosion has carried soil. But check that out, and I think you'll see that that is the standard finding in that matter.
Well, that's an interesting one. Surtsey erupted in Iceland, off the coast of Iceland in 1963. Today, it is an island covered with vegetation and hundreds of species of birds and animals, and it erupted out of the sea, pure lava, just 1963. So this business of it taking 200 years for lava to produce plant life is very inaccurate. And then, maybe this is a previous question, I've written it down here, I don't know if it is, but his figures of 6,000 degree Fahrenheit and all that kind of stuff is based on the assumption that it had to rain enough to go from today's sea level